welcome to my home. How are you doing? How's your soul doing today? What sort of magic are you creating in your life at this time? What choices are you making? You know, the last few months have been challenging, and even for myself, I've questioned my wellness. You know, there have been times when I've been physically sick over the last couple of months, but also I've questioned just how well I've been coping, how well I've been making choices, how well I've been doing at my introspection. And I sense that a lot of people are sort of coming out the other side and going, whoa, I feel better now, but I wasn't feeling so good a few weeks ago. And they're kind of seeing this in a little bit of hindsight. And I've also been sort of questioning about the videos in terms of what's the best way for me to be of service. And, you know, I always want to produce meaningful work. I consider myself a very selfish artist. I have a message, and I want to express that in my artwork. And the end result has never really mattered much to me in terms of, whether people like it or whether they want to purchase it. That's never been something that has been poignant for me. What has always been poignant for me is that I express myself. Sometimes it's with, visual means, and sometimes I do write, and I do a lot of reading, a lot of studying. I am a student, very, very much so. One of my favorite poets is Mary Oliver. And Mary Oliver is, she's a fascinating poet to me. She's a real nature lover, and she writes a lot about nature. But what I love about her writing is, she'll say, come in, sit on the grass. And then she'll say, what are you doing just sitting on the grass? Like, you have to be the grass. And I love this idea of, immersing yourself into something where you lose perception in terms of yourself and where you are, your environment. And I know when I hike, that's very, very much for me, becoming part of the forest, becoming the trees, becoming the birds, just immersing myself into the environment. And I'd like to read this poem of hers called, "Have You Ever Tried to Enter the Long Black Branches?" Have you ever tried to enter the long black branches of other lives? Tried to imagine what the crisp fringes, full of honey hanging from the branches of the young locust trees in early summer, feel like? Do you think this world is only an entertainment for you? Never to enter the sea and notice how the water divides with perfect courtesy to let you in. Never to lie down on the grass as though you were the grass. Never to leap to the air as you open your wings over the dark acorn of your heart. No wonder we hear in your mournful voice the complaint that something is missing from your life. Who can open the door who does not reach for the latch? Who can travel the miles who does not put one foot in front of the other, all attentive to what presents itself continually? Who will behold the inner chamber who has not observed with admiration, even with rapture, the outer stone? Well, there is time left. Fields everywhere invite you into them. And who will care? Who will chide you if you wander away from wherever you are? to look for your soul. Quickly then, get up, put on your coat, leave your desk, to put one foot into the door of the grass, which is the mystery, which is death as well as life, and not be afraid. To set one's foot in the door of death and be overcome with amazement. To sit down in front of the weeds and imagine God the 10-fingered sailing out of his house of straw, nodding this way and that to the flowers of the present hour. To the song falling out of the mockingbird's pink mouth, to the tiplets of the honeysuckle that have opened in the night, to sit down like a weed among weeds and rustle in the wind. Listen, are you breathing just a little and calling it a life? Well, the soul, after all, is only a window, and the opening of the window no more difficult than the wakening from a little sleep. Only last week I went out among the thorns and said to the wild roses, deny me not, but suffer my devotion. Then all afternoon I sat among them. Maybe. I even heard a curl or two of music, damp and rouge red, hurrying from their stubby buds, from their delicate, watery bodies. For how long will you continue to listen to those dark shouters, caution and prudence? Fall in, fall in. And I will leave it there. There's just a bit more to go in that poem. But you know, when I first read this poem, which was a few years ago, the words, listen, are you breathing just a little and calling it a life? Those words had a big impact on me. Because when I read those, you know, I really did feel that my life was a lot of shallow breathing. And I really wanted to inhale life. I wanted to really embrace life. And I wanted to be breathing deep and big breaths and just taking it all in. And my thoughts have kind of softened a little bit on that wording about breathing just a little and calling it a life. Because we have choice. And it's so important to remember that we have choice, and even in our breath. And, you know, even becoming a yoga instructor, you know, you tell people when to inhale and when to exhale. And that is really something like to tell somebody when to breathe. And I think it's so important that we remember that we have choice. So yes, I mean, there are times in my life when I inhale and I just embrace life and I am, you know, living from my heart center. And then there are other times when I do just take in little sips of air because that's all I can manage at that time. And right now there's a few lives that have touched mine that have chosen to not even take the next inhale. And again, it comes down to choice and what we can manage at this time, and being compassionate to ourselves. You know, we don't necessarily always have to take deep breaths. Sometimes we can take just little sips of air because that's all we can manage, but that's okay. It's okay. And then, you know, there is the choice not even to take the next breath, but it has to do with choice and how we live our lives. You know, the original meaning of courage is cur meant from the heart, and aj meant like living, and courage actually meant, you know, to live from the heart. And I think this is the unknown for so many people at this time, is our priorities have changed. You know, we realize that there are certain things in our lives that have such great meaning now because we've been without those things for a while. And so how are we going to step into our courage, which is living from the heart and from our breath, you know? And can we manage to breathe a little deeper some days? And is it okay if we don't breathe? Or is it okay if we just can take little sips of air? This piece of artwork behind me is called The Lights Among Us. And I had the great fortune of producing some artwork for an agency that dealt with helping people with mental health. And there's 3 of these pieces of mine in their waiting room. And it's such an honor for me because I wanted to have, you know, this message of hope and that there is light. There is light. And that light is among us. And it's about choice. You know, do we see the choice of light? And what are the choices that we're going to make in the future? And how can I serve? You know, what sort of videos can I make? Or what kind of artwork can I make? Or what words can I express that are going to be serving, that are going to have meaning? And I think that's where I'm at. And I'd love to hear from you always, of course, as to what you would like me to say in terms of what would you like me to share, and how can that have, you know, an impact or be meaningful in your life. And just one more thing that I want to share is, you know, unfortunately, I haven't been really doing a lot of my yoga daily practice. I've actually been doing a lot of running, and for whatever reason, that's just what I've needed. And I haven't been doing a lot of my Kundalini yoga practice. But I know that this has just kind of been a bit of, again, an introspection before I come back to it. And what I've always loved about Kundalini yoga is that it's always allowed me to tap into this inner warrior within me. And you hold poses for quite lengthy periods of time. And you're always, you know, your mind always says, you know, like, why am I doing this? But for whatever reason, my heart just always kicks in and says, I can do this, I can do this, and I want to do this. This is my choice. And that's what I've always, always loved about Kundalini yoga. So to show you, one of my very, very favorite Kriyas is actually called Sat Kriya. And you sit in rock pose. So that means you get onto your heels. Now I like to actually, so I have my meditation cushion here. And I like to just slip that in between my heels and my buttocks. It just takes the pressure off of my buttocks and off of my thighs. Yeah, I can back up just a little bit here. Yeah, so this is what you would consider a rock pose. So Sat Kriya, we have a mudra. And the mudra is you interlace all your fingers, except for your pointer fingers, they come together. Now you can either cross your right thumb over your left thumb, and that taps into the masculine energy, or you can have your left thumb over top of your right thumb, and that taps into your feminine energy. Now there are rules, but I'm not one for rules. Saying, you know, women have to do this and men have to do this, because we both have masculine and feminine energies. Not just, you know, I'm a woman and so therefore I have feminine energies. Sometimes I like to tap into my masculine energies. But today I'll tap into my feminine energies. So my left is over my right. Now these Kriyas, you know, Ideally, they're to be done for 3 minutes, and you can do them for 11 minutes, or you can do them for, 31, 62 minutes, however long, but generally 3 minutes. Now, there is a mantra. So this is the mudra, and there's a mantra, and the mantra is Sat Nam. And Sat Nam, of course, is I stand in my truth. Now, the idea of this Kriya, and again, that's why I am so drawn to Kundalini, is this layers of meaning in, the poses, the mantras and the mudras, and it all comes together in this beautiful artwork as far as I'm concerned. So Kundalini is this idea of like there's a serpent at the very base of your spine. And through energy, through breath, and through movement, and all sorts of different ways, we can get this energy that's in the base of our spine moving up through all of our energy centers, which are also considered chakras, and then right out to the crown of our head. So this Kriya is actually bringing this energy from our root, which is our base, up through our spine, out through the top of our head, and in this mudra, we are then basically piercing the cosmos with our energy. And I love the idea of, that sometimes we think that we don't have impact in this world, and yet, we're all in this together. We are all the same. And each one of us matters, and each one of us has this ability to impact in our own way. So I'll just do my mudra here. So you literally just bring your arms up against the side of your head, all in alignment here. And generally in Kundalini Yoga, we also close our eyes because we don't want to be in competition with anyone. And we want to come into that space of introspection, looking into our own hearts. And so in this Sat Kriya, we're saying the mantra Sat Nam. So, and Sat, we go Sat, which is pulling in our navel point, which is our power center. And then we release it in Nam. So Sat Nam, Sat Nam. So yeah, we just close our eyes. Sat Nam, 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 Sat Nam. And in no time, you will feel that energy starting to flow up your spine. It's an incredibly powerful asana and an incredibly powerful mantra and mudra. And it is literally the energy of piercing the cosmos. So the little prayer that I always do at the end of my videos is the metta prayer. And it has to do with compassion. And, we need so much compassion for ourselves right now, and compassion for others. So that's why I always like to end this with the metta prayer. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be filled with love. Oh, I changed it up. May you be filled with peace and be at ease. Until the next time.